and welcome to Let's Talk Innovation, the show where we go into the engineering organization and we talk to some super smart people about some of the really super cool things that we're working on here at Dell. I'm your host, Scott Delandy, and today we've got a truly special guest. We have Sukarna Grandi joining us. He is a senior manager from the software engineering group within the Data Protection Solutions team. Sukarna, how are you today?
I'm good, Scott. How are you?
Excellent, excellent. So today we're going to talk about Kubernetes protection using PowerProtect Data Manager. So before we get into the Kubernetes piece of that, just for the audience, talk a little bit about PowerProtect Data Manager. What is that for those who aren't familiar with that particular product?
Sure. PowerProtect Data Manager, or PPDM, is Dell's next generation data protection product. PPDM supports protection of our traditional workloads like VMs, file systems, database applications, as well as modern cloud-native applications running in Kubernetes environments. PPDM is an enterprise-grade product, so it supports all the bells and whistles that comes with such a product, like support for centralized management for IT operators, self-service capabilities for application administrators, and you have functionalities like support for SLAs, replication, tiering, and lots of other features. Now, as enterprises start deploying these cloud-native applications, they want the same kind of data protection user experience that they expect from traditional workloads. They don't want to use any point products and do any manual steps. And that's where PPDM comes in. PPDM offers that capabilities for both traditional workloads and modern workloads.
So when we talk about containerized workloads and cloud-native applications, and more specifically Kubernetes, what are some of the problems that we're trying to solve from a protection perspective, right? We understand kind of what we've been doing with traditional applications, but as we know, containerized workloads running Kubernetes is a little bit different, right? So how does data protection work within a Kubernetes environment?
The Kubernetes protection features for PPDM have been built ground up for Kubernetes. So what I mean by that is the components that are needed by PPDM to orchestrate the Kubernetes protection run right within that cluster. So PPDM is able to take an Kubernetes-aware backup where it not only backs up the persistent volumes that contain the state information of the pods, but also the application configuration, which is basically the Kubernetes resources that define the application. So since and the customers also don't need to install any sidecars, giving them a very seamless data protection experience. Now, since PPDM backs up the application configuration along with the persistent volumes, it enables it to support various other use cases like application mobility, where PPDM can back up an application, cloud-native application running in a Kubernetes cluster on-prem and then restore it to a Kubernetes cluster running in the cloud. Similarly, PPDM can clone the application where it creates a copy of the application right within that cluster in different namespace for test and dev purposes. Along with that, PPDM also has various other capabilities like taking app-consistent backups by acquiring the applications before taking the snapshot. Finally, as part of our VMware first and best strategy, PPDM uses VMware Valero to back up parts of the metadata, which is the Kubernetes resources. And because of our close collaboration with VMware, PPDM, as of now, that I'm aware of, is the only enterprise-grade product that supports protection of vSphere with Tanzu guest clusters.
So this whole idea of containerized applications, it's certainly not new, right? It's been around for years and years. But I think the shift that we're starting to see is the types of workloads or applications that are being containerized. These are business critical, in some cases mission critical types of applications. What are you seeing from an opportunity perspective for Dell? I mean, is this something that we're really starting to see people doing? I know we've been talking about it for a while now, but what's happening out there in the real world? Is this actually a real trend?
Yeah, so what we are seeing is that application developers are increasingly adopting a cloud-native architectural style while developing applications. And in fact, as per the last IDC study, uh, we are seeing that by 2023, there will be more than 104 million container hosts running these containers. And even the container infrastructure storage market is growing at a rate of 63%. So it's clear that enterprises are gradually shifting or at least deploying some cloud native workloads. And now as they deploy these cloud native workloads into production, they want a robust data protection strategy in place. And PPDM, with its support for these modern workloads, gives Dell and our sales teams the opportunity to engage with these new customers and put forward our solution. And then it also enables us, right? Once we get an entry into that account and we have footprint into that account, it gives us the opportunity to expand into other traditional workloads that PPDM supports.
I know from the customers that I talk to and even the field teams, this is definitely becoming a top-of-mind initiative for lots of our customers out there. The question I had is that were we able to leverage the existing products like PPDM in order to support this, or did we have to develop brand new capabilities specifically around Kubernetes support?
Yeah, so although the solution was built ground up for Kubernetes, the goal from beginning was to leverage existing shared IP or common components that are there already, if possible. So to that end, for the Kubernetes solution, we leverage the existing data movers that PPDM already had for VMs and file systems, and we just repurpose them to work in a containerized environment. So these data movers are the ones that we use for moving the data of the persistent volumes into our protection storage. So additionally, the app consistent framework was built in collaboration with the application protection architects of PPDM to leverage the decades of experience that PPDM teams have in protecting traditional applications.
Can you talk a little bit more about the development team? What were some of the challenges that you ran into, and more importantly, how were you able to address those challenges along the way?
Our challenge was that we wanted to build a solution that was most optimized for the Kubernetes distribution and the platform that Kubernetes cluster was running in. So, for example, when the Kubernetes cluster runs in a VMware virtualized environment using VMware Cloud Native Storage, PPDM uses vSphere's traditional storage snapshot technology to create snapshots with CBT to give an optimal performance. And when the Kubernetes clusters are running in a non-VMware environment, it uses CSI snapshots and uses a mount and sweep mechanism to back up the volumes. Secondly, Kubernetes is an evolving platform, so it doesn't have all the rich set of data protection primitives that are there in our traditional workloads like VMs or even file systems with Windows VSS. So we are working with the Kubernetes open source community to get CBT added into Kubernetes. Additionally, there are several tens of Kubernetes distributions or even hundreds, right? So that presents a challenge since each Kubernetes cluster comes with its own variation and its own flavor. So what we are doing is we worked with the major distributors like Red Hat for OpenShift and then with VMware for vSphere with Tanzu to come up with the best possible integration we can for that specific distribution. Additionally, applications in Kubernetes environments can be deployed in different ways. So an application can be deployed as a stateful set, but it can also be deployed as multiple deployments. So offering app consistent protection in this case and quizing the application gets much more difficult. So what we did to solve this problem was that we came up with a patent pending application template framework that allows us to quiz the application in a customized way depending on how the application was deployed.
Can you talk about what's next, right? What are we doing to drive better support across Dell to be a leader for Kubernetes in next generation apps? Can you talk a little bit about the ecosystem and what we're doing around the development and support community, as well as you mentioned a little bit about VMware and Tanzu?